Rebecca Mitchell's hands were shaking as she stood in the massive council chamber. The room was enormous, with walls that glowed with strange alien lights. 4 to 7 different alien species sat in circular rows around her, watching with eyes that didn't look human at all. She had been an ambassador for 3 years. She had believed in the Galactic Council. She had trusted them. But that trust died 3 weeks ago when she found the secret files. The data chip felt heavy in her pocket. It contained proof. Terrible, undeniable proof. High Counselor Vextar clicked his insect-like mandibles. The translator device turned his sounds into cold, flat words. Ambassador Mitchell. You called this emergency meeting. Speak. Rebecca took a deep breath. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. I discovered something. Something the Council has been hiding from humanity. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Aliens whispered to each other in languages she couldn't understand. For 15 years, Rebecca continued, her voice getting stronger, the Council has known about the invasion coming from outside our galaxy. 15 years. And you never told us. Vextar's many eyes went dark. Ambassador, you are speaking of classified. Classified? Rebecca's anger broke through. You put human colonies in the path of that invasion on purpose. You knew those planets would be attacked first. You used us as bait. She pulled out her handheld device and activated it. The hologram appeared in the center of the chamber for everyone to see. Maps showed human settlements placed in a perfect line, right where the invasion would hit first. 17 million humans are dead, Rebecca said, her voice cracking with emotion. 17 million people who thought they were building new homes. They died in attacks you knew were coming. I found your reports. I read them. You called our deaths acceptable losses. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens looked shocked. Others looked angry. But Vextar just looked cold. Those files are classified, he said, standing up. Guards. Arrest her for. I already sent copies to Earth, Rebecca interrupted. She held up her device. To Mars. To every human colony. To every news station. Everyone knows now. Every human in the galaxy knows what you did. 2 massive alien guards came toward her. They were twice her size, with scales like armor and eyes like a reptile. Rebecca didn't fight when they grabbed her arms. Vextar leaned forward. You have committed treason against the Galactic Council. You will be locked away. Treason? Rebecca laughed, but there was no humor in it. You betrayed us first. You treated us like we were disposable. Like our lives didn't matter. Well, now humanity knows the truth. The guards dragged her toward the exit. The last thing Rebecca saw was Vextar's face, cold and emotionless. They threw her into a small cell. The walls were gray metal, and there was only a hard bench to sit on. Rebecca sat down and waited. She wasn't scared. She had done what needed to be done. Her neural implant picked up signals from human communication networks. She could feel the data moving, spreading like wildfire across human space. Earth was receiving the files. The colonies were getting them. Military commanders were reading them. The truth was out there now. No one could stop it. Rebecca smiled. She had lit the match. Now the fire would spread. 3 hours passed. She watched the news feed on the cell's wall screen. The council was panicking. They were calling emergency meetings. They were trying to control the damage. Too late, Rebecca thought. Suddenly, her cell door made a strange sound. The light on the control panel changed from red to yellow. Someone was opening it from outside. The door slid open with a hiss. A Valorian stood there. His name was Thomas Hayes, a junior counselor she had worked with before. His scales were changing colors rapidly, which meant he was nervous or upset. You need to leave right now, Thomas said urgently. They're going to kill you. Not arrest you. Kill you. Before more people learn the truth. Rebecca stood up slowly. Why are you helping me? Thomas's scales flashed red, the color of anger. Because they did the same thing to my people 60 years ago. The Valorians were the expendable ones before humanity arrived. I found files about it after I saw yours. I'm tired of watching them use younger species as shields. He handed her a small data stick. Coordinates to safe houses. Ships that will take you back to human space. People who will help you. If they catch you helping me, Rebecca started. Then they catch me, Thomas interrupted. Go. Make them pay for what they've done. To your people and mine. Rebecca took the data stick and ran. Behind her, alarms started blaring throughout the council station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. She didn't look back. As she ran toward the docking bay, Rebecca felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. The Council had wanted to keep humanity in the dark, to keep them weak and obedient. They had treated humans like they were less than the other species. That was their biggest mistake. Because now humanity knew the truth. And humans didn't forget. They didn't forgive easily. And most importantly, they didn't stay quiet when someone hurt them. The fire was spreading across human space. Soon it would become an inferno. The Council was about to learn a hard lesson about humanity. They were about to learn that when you betray humans, they don't just get angry. They get even. Admiral James Peterson stood on the bridge of his warship, the TDFS Defiance. His hands gripped the railing as he watched the stolen files play on the screen for the third time. 17 million dead. His jaw clenched so hard it hurt. "Sir, incoming message from Fleet Command on Earth," his second officer said. James already knew what it would say. He had been expecting it since the moment Rebecca Mitchell's files went public 6 hours ago. "Put it through." The admiral on the screen looked old and tired. "Admiral Peterson, effective immediately, all human vessels are recalled from Council operations. You are ordered to withdraw from all joint missions and return to Terran space." James nodded. "Understood, sir. What about our treaties with the Council?" "The treaties are suspended pending review. We're done being their attack dogs. Bring our people home." The transmission ended. James turned to his crew. Every single person on the bridge was human. They were all staring at him, waiting. "You heard the order," James said. "Send the recall signal to every human ship in this sector. We're going home." Across the galaxy, the same scene played out on dozens of human vessels. Captains received their orders and turned their ships around. Some were in the middle of patrol missions. Others were docked at Council stations. All of them started heading back to human territory. The Council had relied on human ships for years. Humans were good soldiers. They followed orders. They didn't ask too many questions. Not anymore. On Gateway Station, Commander Lisa Harper watched the chaos unfold in real time. Gateway was a massive space station that served as a trading hub between human space and Council territory. Thousands of humans worked there, living in the human sectors while serving Council interests. They weren't serving anymore. Lisa stood in the main plaza as human workers walked out of their jobs. Engineers abandoned their posts. Technicians left their stations. Dock workers stopped loading Council cargo ships. "This is an illegal work stoppage," a Valkyrie supervisor shouted, his tentacles waving frantically. "You are all under contract." "Our contracts are with the Council," a human engineer named David shouted back. "And the Council betrayed us. We're done." Within an hour, the entire human section of Gateway Station had shut down. The Council sections kept running, but barely. Humans had been doing most of the important work, and now that work wasn't getting done. Lisa was coordinating the evacuation when the Kreth peacekeepers arrived. They were big, armored aliens with weapons designed to intimidate. Their commander, a scarred veteran, pointed at Lisa. "You will order your people back to work," he growled through his translator. Lisa looked at him calmly. She had her sidearm on her hip, but she didn't reach for it. "Not yet. No. We're leaving. Peacefully. Don't make this ugly. You don't have permission to leave." "We don't need your permission," Lisa said. Her hand moved to her weapon. Around her, other humans did the same. "This is the human section now. You're not welcome here." The Kreth commander made a mistake. He reached for his plasma rifle. Lisa drew faster. The shot hit him in the shoulder, and he went down. His peacekeepers raised their weapons, and suddenly the plaza erupted in gunfire. It lasted only 30 seconds. When it was over, 3 Kreth were dead and 2 were wounded. 1 human was injured. The rest of the Kreth peacekeepers retreated. Lisa looked at the bodies and felt sick. She had just started a war with a single shot. Her communicator buzzed. "Commander Harper, this is Council security. You have committed an act of violence against." She turned off the communicator and threw it on the ground. Far away, at Proxima Garrison, Captain Robert Kane faced a different kind of problem. He commanded a human destroyer attached to a Council defense fleet. For 2 years, he had followed Council orders without question. Now the Council was ordering him to do the unthinkable. Captain Kane, the Council liaison on his bridge, said stiffly. "Human vessels are removing equipment from the army. You are ordered to stop them by force if necessary." Robert stared at the alien. "You want me to shoot at humans? At my own people? They are stealing Council property." That property was built by human engineers using human resources, Robert said, his voice cold. They're taking back what's ours. The liaison's skin changed color, showing agitation. If you refuse this order, you will be relieved of command and... I quit, Robert said simply. The bridge went silent. The liaison looked shocked. You cannot simply... Watch me, Robert interrupted. He turned to his crew. Anyone who wants to stay with the council can leave my ship right now. Anyone who wants to come home, we leave in 10 minutes. Not a single person moved toward the exit. Robert opened a channel to the council fleet commander. This is Captain Robert Kane of the destroyer Relentless. I am hereby resigning my commission with council forces. My ship and crew are returning to human space. Do not attempt to stop us. He cut the channel before the commander could respond. Within minutes, 17 other human captains did the same thing. Across council space, human ships were declaring independence and heading home. The council had built their defense network on human loyalty. They had assumed humans would always follow orders, always stay in line. They were wrong. Back on Earth, Prime Minister David Clark watched the reports coming in. Gateway Station in chaos. Proxima Garrison abandoned. Human ships going rogue across the galaxy. His advisor looked worried. Sir, this could lead to war. David looked at the files Rebecca Mitchell had sent. At the proof of 15 years of lies. At the 17 million names of the dead. They already started the war, he said quietly. They just didn't realize it until now. The fire Rebecca had started was spreading. It was burning through every contract, every treaty, every relationship between humanity and the council. And it was just getting started. The Terran Assembly Chamber was louder than it had ever been. 200 representatives from every human world were shouting at each other, and Prime Minister David Clark was losing control of the room. We cannot abandon the council completely. Senator Williams stood up, his face red. If we isolate ourselves, we'll be vulnerable to attack. We're already vulnerable, another senator shouted back. They made sure of that. David slammed his hand on the podium, and the sound echoed through the chamber. Order. We will have order. The room slowly quieted down. David took a deep breath and gestured to the woman sitting in the front row. Ambassador Mitchell has returned from council space. She has information we need to hear. Rebecca stood up. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes from her escape. But her voice was strong and clear. The council didn't just lie about the invasion, she said. They actively kept us weak. I found records of technology suppression going back 30 years. She activated a hologram display. Documents appeared in the air, floating where everyone could see them. Our scientists developed quantum drive technology 12 years ago. It would have made our ships 3 times faster. The council rejected it, saying it was unsafe. That was a lie. They didn't want us to have fast ships. More documents appeared. We invented better shield generators. Better weapons. Better AI systems. Every single advancement was blocked by council regulations. They said it was for our own safety. But really, they just wanted to keep us dependent on them. The chamber was completely silent now. Everyone was staring at the documents. They kept us weak on purpose, Rebecca continued. Because weak species are easier to control. Easier to use as shields. Senator Williams sat down heavily, looking pale. David stepped forward. This assembly must vote. I propose the Terminus Ultimatum. We give the council 48 hours to provide full disclosure of everything they've hidden from us. They must pay reparations for the 17 million dead. And they must acknowledge humanity as equal members, not subordinates. And if they refuse, someone asked. Then we leave the council completely. We stand alone. The vote was called. The results came quickly. The Terminus Ultimatum passed with an overwhelming majority. While Earth debated, Admiral James Peterson was having a secret meeting far from any council monitoring stations. His ship floated in empty space, hidden among asteroids. 3 other ships were there with him. They weren't human ships. The first transmission came from a Valorian vessel. A female alien appeared on the screen, her scales a deep blue color. Admiral Peterson, I am Ambassador Helen Cross of the Centran people. We received your message. Thank you for coming, James said. I'll be direct. Did the council use your people the same way they used us? Helen's scales shifted to a darker color. Sadness. Yes. 30 years ago, we lost 4 colonies to attacks the council knew were coming. They called it bad luck. We believed them. Another screen activated. This one showed an Archon, a species that looked almost like bears standing upright. The Archon Commonwealth lost 6 colonies 40 years ago. We were told it was our fault for expanding too quickly. A third screen. A Valorian male that James recognized. Thomas Hayes, James said. You helped Rebecca escape. Thomas nodded. My people were used as shields 60 years ago. Before the Centron. Before the Archon. The Council has been doing this for a very long time. James felt his anger growing. How many species have they sacrificed? We don't know, Helen said quietly. But we suspect there are others. Younger species who joined the Council and then mysteriously suffered losses on the frontier. The pattern is always the same, Thomas added. A new species joins. They're given colonies in opportunity zones. Those zones are really just danger zones. When the attacks come, the Council acts surprised and offers sympathy. The young species is weakened and becomes more dependent on Council protection. James clenched his fists. We need to stand together. When humanity issues the Terminus Ultimatum, the Council will try to divide us. They'll offer deals to some species and threaten others. We can't let that work. Agreed, Helen said. The Centrons support humanity's position. If you withdraw from the Council, you won't be alone. The Archon representative growled his agreement. The Commonwealth stands with Earth. Thomas smiled. The Valorian Union will support you as well. It's time someone stood up to the Council elders. Far away on the Council homeworld, High Councillor Vextar was reading the Terminus Ultimatum. His advisors stood around him, waiting for his response. They are bluffing, Vextar said dismissively. Humanity needs us more than we need them. Ignore the ultimatum. His military advisor, our old Kreth general, looked uncomfortable. High Councillor, there's something you should know. Our intelligence discovered hidden construction yards in human territory. Construction yards. Shipyards. Hidden in the outer edges of their solar systems, beyond our monitoring range. They've been building vessels in secret. Vextar's confidence wavered slightly. How many ships? The general shifted his weight. We don't have exact numbers. Our scouts were detected and driven off before they could complete their surveys. But initial estimates suggest hundreds. Maybe more. Hundreds. Vextar stood up quickly. That's impossible. We would have detected the resource movements, the energy signatures. They used asteroid mining, the general interrupted. Raw materials harvested from their own asteroid belts. Solar power and fusion reactors we didn't know they had. They've been preparing for this, High Councillor. 4 years. Vextar looked at the ultimatum again. 48 hours. It wasn't a bluff. It was a warning. What do we know about these ships? He asked quietly. Nothing, sir. They're completely new designs. We have no data on their capabilities. The chamber fell silent. Vextar realized, perhaps for the first time, that humanity wasn't weak anymore. Maybe they never had been. Maybe the Council had just convinced them they were. The 48-hour clock was ticking. And the Council had no idea what was coming. The 48th hour came and went. No response from the Council. Not a single word. Admiral James Peterson stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the countdown timer hit 0. His bridge crew was silent, waiting for his order. They think we won't do it, his second officer said quietly. They think we're scared. James smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then let's show them what scared humans look like. Begin Operation Firebreak. Across human space, hidden fleet yards opened their massive doors. Ships that the Council had never seen before emerged from the darkness. Sleek destroyers. Heavy cruisers. Carrier vessels bristling with weapons. All built in secret over the past 5 years. The Council had no idea they existed. 17 human battle groups moved simultaneously, targeting the strategic jump gates that connected Council space. These gates were the highways of the galaxy. Control them, and you controlled movement between star systems. At Threshold Gate, Captain Margaret Foster commanded the first strike. Her ship, the Thunderhead, dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of a Council defense station. Council cruiser Devotion is powering up weapons, her tactical officer reported. Margaret didn't hesitate. Target their engine section. Fire railgun. The weapon that the Council had banned as primitive and destabilizing fired a solid metal slug at 30% of light speed. The kinetic energy was devastating. The Council cruiser's shields meant nothing. The round punched through the ship like it was made of paper. The devotion split in half, venting atmosphere and bodies into space. 3 more council ships approaching, Tactical reported. Show them what primitive weapons can do, Margaret ordered. All batteries, fire at will. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, 7 council ships were destroyed or surrendered. The Thunderhead had taken minor damage. Margaret's crew was silent, staring at what they had done. Take control of the gate, Margaret said quietly. And send medical teams to the survivors. The same scene played out at 16 other gates. Human ships, using weapons the council had suppressed, overwhelmed the defenses. Railguns. Particle beams. Drone swarms. Technology humanity had been developing in secret while the council thought they were weak. The council had underestimated them badly. Admiral Peterson was preparing the next phase when his communication officer shouted urgently. Sir. Priority alert from Deep Space Monitoring. What is it? The extragalactic threat. It's here. 3 months ahead of schedule. James felt his blood turn cold. Show me. The tactical display lit up with horror. Massive ships, each the size of a small moon, were tearing through the outer council worlds. They weren't metal ships. They were organic, alive, like giant creatures swimming through space. Humanity had designated them as devourers in the secret files. Now James understood why. He watched as a devourer ship reached a council planet. It didn't bomb the planet. It wrapped around it like a python and began feeding. Draining the planet's resources, its atmosphere, everything. Billions of people were dying. The council's emergency channel activated. High Councillor Vextar's face appeared on the screen. He looked terrified. This is High Councillor Vextar to all forces. The invasion has begun. We are requesting immediate assistance from all member species. Please, we need. Another voice cut in. Weaker. Desperate. This is Admiral Peterson. Please. I know what we did. I know we betrayed you. But there are billions of civilians down there. Children. Families. They didn't choose to lie to you. Please help us. James's bridge crew turned to look at him. Every face showed the same conflict. Anger at the council's betrayal. Horror at what was happening to innocent people. His weapons officer spoke first. Sir, they left us to die. Why should we save them? James stared at the display. Watched a devourer consume another planet. Thought about the 17 million humans who had died because of council lies. He could let them burn. It would be justice. Revenge for everything the council had done. But then a memory came to him. His daughter, 8 years old, asking him why he joined the military. He had told her, because someone has to protect people who can't protect themselves. If he let the council worlds burn, he would be no better than Vextar. He would become the very thing he hated. All ships, James said, his voice firm. Change course. We're engaging the devourers. Sir. His second officer looked shocked. I know what they did to us, James said. I know they're guilty. But those people down there aren't. Those children aren't. We don't abandon innocent people to die. That's what makes us different from the council. That's what makes us better. His tactical officer smiled. Setting course for the Devourer fleet, sir. And send a message to Admiral Peterson on the council channel, James added. Tell them humanity is coming. Not because they deserve it. But because it's the right thing to do. The human fleet turned away from the captured jump gates and headed toward the slaughter. Captain Robert Kane, commanding the destroyer Relentless, received the same orders. His crew had been celebrating their victory at Proxima Gate when the Devourer alert came through. They want us to save them, his engineer asked in disbelief. After everything? Robert looked at his crew. Good people. Angry people. People who had every right to want revenge. We're not doing this for the council, he said. We're doing it because when you see someone drowning, you don't ask if they deserve to be saved. You just save them. That's what humans do. His crew nodded slowly. The anger was still there. But so was something else. Pride. The knowledge that they were better than their enemies. The Relentless joined the fleet heading toward the Devourers. Across human space, the same conversation happened on every ship. Captains asked their crews if they would fight to save the people who had betrayed them. Every single crew said yes. Not because the council deserved it. But because humanity was better than that. The council was about to learn what humans were really capable of. And the Devourers were about to learn why you should never corner a human with nothing left to lose. Admiral James Peterson's fleet arrived to find 3 Council worlds already half consumed by the Devourers. The alien ships were massive, organic creatures that looked like they had been grown instead of built. Their skin pulsed with strange lights, and they moved through space like sharks hunting prey. All ships, attack formation, James ordered. Target the lead Devourer. Concentrate all fire on its central mass. The human fleet opened fire. Railgun rounds, moving at impossible speeds, slammed into the Devourer's hull. The creature screamed, a sound that came through the radio channels even though sound shouldn't travel in space. "It's working," his tactical officer shouted. "The rounds are penetrating." The Devourer turned toward them, angry now. It launched smaller organisms, living missiles that homed in on the human ships. "Evasive maneuvers," James commanded. "Drone swarms, intercept." Human drones, controlled by AI systems the Council had banned, met the living missiles. The space between the fleets became a nightmare of explosions and biological matter. Captain Margaret Foster's Thunderhead dove straight through a Devourer formation, all weapons firing. The Council had always said human tactics were too reckless, too aggressive. Against an enemy that relied on overwhelming size and numbers, reckless was exactly right. For the 17 million. Margaret shouted as her railguns tore through a Devourer's neural cluster. The creature convulsed and died, drifting in space like a beached whale. On the surface of Council World Verith 9, Commander Lisa Harper led a mixed force of humans and Valorians defending evacuation sites. The Council civilians were fleeing in ships, trying to escape before the Devourers landed. Devourer ground forces came down like rain. They were smaller than the ships but still massive, each one the size of a tank and covered in armor plating that looked like bone. "Hold the line," Lisa shouted, firing her plasma rifle. "Give the civilians time to evacuate." Thomas Hayes, the Valorian who had helped Rebecca escape, fought beside her. His people's energy weapons cut through Devourer armor, but there were so many of them. "We can't hold much longer," Thomas shouted. Lisa looked at the evacuation ships still loading civilians. Hundreds of people, mostly children and elderly. They needed 5 more minutes. She made her decision. "Fall back to the secondary position," she ordered. "Everyone except Team Alpha. Alpha, you're with me." Thomas grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" Lisa smiled grimly. "Buying time." She activated the fusion charges they had planted throughout the defensive position. "Go. Get those people out of here." Thomas's scales flashed with emotion, but he nodded and ran. Lisa and her team waited until the Devourers were swarming over their position. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. She looked at her team. 5 brave humans who knew what was about to happen. "It's been an honor," she said quietly. Then she triggered the charges. The explosion vaporized 8 city blocks and every Devourer in the kill zone. The shockwave was visible from orbit. Thomas watched from the evacuation ship, his scales turning dark with grief. But the civilians were safe. Lisa had given them that. In space, Captain Robert Kane's destroyer Relentless was surrounded by 3 Devourer ships. His shields were failing, his weapons overheating. "Sir, we need to retreat," his engineer shouted. Robert looked at his tactical display. Behind them was a Council hospital ship, full of wounded. If he retreated, the Devourers would destroy it. "Negative," Robert said. "All power to forward shields. Ram the lead Devourer." "Sir, that's suicide." "That's an order." The Relentless accelerated, slamming into the Devourer at full speed. The impact tore both ships apart, but the explosion created enough debris to shield the hospital ship's escape. Robert's last thought was that his daughter would understand why he did it. The battle raged for 3 days. 3 days of humans fighting alongside the species that had betrayed them. 3 days of sacrifice and courage and blood. Admiral Peterson lost count of how many ships he lost. How many brave people died saving others. But slowly, impossibly, they started winning. Human tactics confused the Devourers. The aliens expected prey to run. Humans charged instead. They used weapons the Devourers had never seen. They fought with a desperation that came from knowing what it meant to be expendable. On the 3rd day, the Devourer fleet retreated. The survivors limped away into deep space, badly wounded. The human fleet was in ruins. 2/3 of their ships were destroyed or crippled. Thousands were dead. But they had won. High Counselor Vextar's transmission came through on every channel. His voice was humble, broken. "Admiral Peterson. Humanity has saved us. We owe you everything." James looked at his ruined bridge, at the memorial wall showing the names of the dead. You owe us the truth. Full disclosure. Full reparations. And a seat at the real table. As equals. Vextar nodded slowly. The council leadership will resign. There will be new elections. And humanity will help write the new laws. I swear it. 6 months later, Rebecca Mitchell stood in the rebuilt council chamber. But she wasn't an ambassador anymore. She was High Counselor, elected by all the species who had fought together. The old council ruled through lies, she said to the assembled representatives. The new council will be built on trust. Every species matters. Every life has value. Admiral Peterson commanded the new Joint Defense Force, teaching other species the tactics that had saved them all. Captain Margaret Foster trained the next generation of officers, human and alien alike. Commander Lisa Harper's name was carved on a memorial on Gateway Station, along with all the others who had given everything. Never forget, the word said. Never again. Humanity hadn't just survived the Council's betrayal. They had transformed it into something better. They had taken their rage and their pain and forged it into hope. The galaxy had tried to use humanity as shields. Instead, humanity had become its protectors. And that made all the difference. Years later, children of every species would learn about the humans in their history classes. About the species that chose mercy over revenge. About the people who fought not for themselves, but for everyone who couldn't fight. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. More importantly, the galaxy would never be the same. Because humanity had shown them what true strength looked like. Not the strength to destroy enemies, but the strength to save them anyway. That was the human way. And now, it was the galaxy's way too.